Welcome to Munich, Germany. Located in southern Germany, Munich is in the German Bundesländer of Bavaria. And in front of us is St. Paul's Church, which was the first church we saw in Munich before going to the actual old town, which in German is Altstadt. Many stereotypes that we see as German are actually Bavarian. Germany is pretty big for European standards, and many different regions have different traditions and cultures. So a lot of stereotypes such as, everything associated with beer, obviously, beer halls, beer, Oktoberfest, all those are actually Bavarian. And in Munich, every year, Oktoberfest happens, where it's a huge festival which is mostly about drinking beer once again. Bavaria has been able to keep a unique culture from the rest of Germany in large part due to the fact that Bavaria has been a kingdom from 1506 all the way to 1918 with the fall of the German Reich after the First World War. And in that time period, Bavaria has been unified and has either been a fully sovereign independent kingdom or, after joining the German Confederation in 1871, an autonomous kingdom still ruled by the same royal family. Bavaria has kept a long tradition, and of course, one of those traditions being the Bayern München football club. And yes, you bet it's called football, not soccer.
Now we're talking.
After a long time, we had some decent food.
It was good food.
Yeah, it was good food.
It was pretty good food.
How long can we go having sandwiches and croissants and cappuccino?
Kimchi, come here, Kimchi.
You need filter coffee
That's what we need to go in there. That's the old city.
Bavarian culture can seem more similar to Austrian culture compared to traditions in other parts of Germany, specifically northern Germany and eastern Germany.
Why do you think I wore the jacket? Look at this, man. This is like, wow.
Now everybody here has a jacket except for me.
What happened?
Jacket, she's cool.
Your jacket. Don't actually.
Is it in the back here?
That's right, you gave her this.
We see the opera, then we head to the city gate in Altstadt. I love saying that.
This is Altstadt.
That is Wait, okay, turn the camera to me now. Turn the camera.
Willkommen auf Altstadt, there's Munich. Welcome to Munich. This is the most beautiful city in Germany. I think it's better than Berlin. This is better than Berlin. So when you come to Germany, go to Bavaria. Don't go to Berlin. You go to Berlin, but at the end, the real gem in Germany is Munich.
I like it. Good improvising. That's very good.
This is Karlsplatz, the largest entryway into Altstadt, and where once stood medieval walls, now you see a grand Platz or Piazza or Platz. In German it's Platz, we're calling it Platz. During the late 1700s, Munich's old medieval fortifications were torn down. The old medieval fortifications were torn down due to the invention of artillery. Artillery was able to tear through older medieval walls, and thus new forms of modern fortifications were created. The flag on the left of the screen in front of the opera building is the flag of Bavaria, light blue and white. Bavaria for a long time was its own kingdom and a very powerful and large kingdom compared to many of the other smaller German kingdoms that weren't Habsburg Austria or Prussia.
Russian, English, Arabic. and German is already.
What's with the other three McDonald's?
Since they invented hamburgers here, you think the burgers are better in McDonald's Germany? We'd have to test it out. Well, let's go to the old city. Seriously, we wasted all that time walking from them and we need to come straight here.
This is you see the map? The map will show.
Yeah, we need to spend time here, man. Get that day pass. I don't want to waste time walking. We need to spend time inside here. Then you need single. Yeah, that's true. But I'm saying we need to spend time here. That all that walking slowly was useless. This is what's happening. This has a bit of a Prague feel, right?
They also have their own hotel. They don't call it they call it Rathaus.
Yes. We need to be having breakfast here in the morning.
Yes, but see Frank.
Yes, it will. Hey, you guys are sleepy. We can hang out here in the evening. Nice. We chill over here. Just look at this. They'll have a Prague feel, man, right now. Maybe not tonight, tomorrow. No, tomorrow night. I mean, even I'm tired. Tomorrow night we can do it. Right? What's this? What is this? Is it a church? It is a church. This is the famous church.
See, this is what the area looks like. They're very the entire block. Good. At least these guys are
Oh, so you
smart.
can't get into that whole area there.
See, these guys are smart. My language is not for us. With this all smart stuff. We can go in this one. I see the doors open. Follow us.
This is open cup. Are you cold? Are you cold?
Wait.
This is St. Michaels Kirche, the most beautiful church that we saw in Munich, at least in my opinion. St. Michaels Kirche was founded by the Jesuits, and this very church would found Munich's most famous beer hall, Hofbräuhaus, which we'll be seeing at the very end of the video. Similar to Salzburg in the last video and Vienna, the capital of Austria, Munich has a lot of Baroque / neoclassical architecture. And during the 16th, 17th and 1800s, neoclassical architecture and Baroque architecture, the kind of architecture you see in Versailles Palace, I don't know how to explain it exactly, that became very popular among the palaces and churches of Europe. And Gothic architecture was seen as outdated and old. But eventually Gothic revival came along, and that's why you see the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben being in a Gothic / Victorian style. But over here in southern Germany and Austria, there's a lot of this Baroque neoclassical architecture. The cross you see over there at the end of the nave is covered because we were here during Lent, and in the Catholic Church they keep the cross covered until Easter Sunday. A lot of churches in Rome have a very similar style of architecture as you can see here in Munich. One really cool thing about going to massive cathedrals is when you look behind, when you get close to the altar and look behind, and you see like a grand organ like how we just saw up there. It's so beautiful and so grand. It's so interesting to see huge organs like that. They're like bigger than 10 people. It's insane.
This cathedral right here is Freunkirche, and we're about to go inside right now.
Frauenkirche is such a tall building right in the center of Munich. In a lot of medieval cities and urban cores, you see this with one huge cathedral sticking out of the skyline and being the grandest and most important monument in the city. And Frauenkirche here certainly attracts a lot of attention. Welcome to Marienplatz, located right in the center of the Altstadt of Munich. And right there is the beautiful Gothic City Hall of Munich, or in German known as Rathaus. Do not confuse it for Rathaus or the Pied Piper. And that building down there is the old City Hall.
Wait, don't turn. Wait, turn the camera. This is the city hall, by the way.
That's City Hall?
This is the city hall. Damn. Look up, hotel. What am I supposed to say if I see something like hotel?
Oh my god.
Fun fact, I also get confused when I hear that the City Hall of Paris and many French cities is called Hotel de Ville. What, Hotel of the Village, or am I just translating that wrong?
This is 10x Salzburg, huh? This is 10x Salzburg. It's so nice. And it's 10x Berlin, man. Berlin is nonsense compared to this.
Yes, but tell you we will see Freunkirche tomorrow.
Okay, it's not 10x Berlin, more like 2x Berlin.
What? You're so like, oh, it's so on the top of the church, you can see the sun.
No, but it is so humid. It looks like the sun.
It kind of looks like sunlight, it does.
Frauenkirche is the most recognizable and famous monument in all of Munich. During the 1400s, Gothic architecture was introduced to Munich, and you can see here in Frauenkirche with arches, buttresses, stained glass and vaults, all major aspects of Gothic architecture. Freunkirche itself was completed in 1488.
Where are the sausages?
In Munich, they really want people to know what time it is, do they? Oh my god! Munich was founded in 1158 AD, and in 1175 Munich was made a city. A few decades later, in 1240, Munich was transferred to the Wittelsbach family, the future royal family of Bavaria. The Wittelsbach family would rule Bavaria as a whole from the unification of Bavaria as a kingdom in 1506 all the way until 1918 with the fall of the German Reich.
This is your city.
Munich was
city
founded
hall.
for its location along the Isar River, and at the time of its founding, Augsburg, a settlement nearby, was much more important. And eventually, throughout the centuries, Munich would overtake Augsburg and other cities within Bavaria to become the largest city in the region. To this day, Munich is a very vital city within Germany and the German economy, and Germany has the largest economy
Marienplatz?
in the entire European Union. Munich is sometimes referred to as Germany's secret capital city.
The Germans consider
Oh, and
Vienna
by
their
the way,
own,
fun
actually.
fact, BMW means Bavaria Motor Works. In 1506, Bavaria was unified into a single kingdom, and Munich became the capital of Bavaria as a result. A few years later, though, in 1518, Martin Luther started the Protestant Reformation, and within a few years, the entire Holy Roman Empire was split between Protestant or Catholic. Over the next decades and even centuries, many religious wars happened, but the largest of them all, the 30 Years' War, impacted Munich, because in 1632, Munich was occupied by Protestant Swedish forces. From 1634 to 35, only a few years later, the bubonic plague, also known as the Black Death, hit Munich, and a third of the population was killed. During the medieval era, Augsburg and Salzburg were both much more important cities than Munich, and Munich, due to its location along the Isar River and its location between both cities, it became a midpoint between both cities for trade. Salt from Salzburg went to Augsburg, and Munich was right there in between and was the easiest way to cross the Isar River between both cities. Eventually, though, what's so interesting is that over the centuries, Munich overtook and outshadowed both Augsburg and Salzburg, and today has even become a more important city than Vienna, which has historically been one of the most important cities on the continent for centuries.
Okay, now they have to stop. Just stop.
It's 12:10 and they're still ringing the bells.
Oh, wait, 12.
No, but it's about 10 minutes of.
I know why. I don't. You know why they're bringing it at 12:10? Because I was reading that thing about the cathedral. You know what they showed? They showed there was this like God the Father with Jesus and Mary or something, and like God drew his sword to destroy the earth, and then he put it back in the sea. That's why it's ringing.
So that took 10 minutes?
No. It happened at 12:10. That's why the bells are still ringing.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's why they wouldn't have been ringing for so long. I'm thinking, okay, last time it had been. So.
What's the civilization?
See this shot, and then we need to go right. And there's mutton.
After the 30 Years' War, Munich became a center for Baroque architecture, and numerous Italian artists and architects were invited to the city. Buildings such as Theatinekirche, which we'll be seeing soon, and Schloss Nymphenburg, which we'll be seeing a bit later in the video, were built by these architects. In 1806, Munich became the capital of the new Kingdom of Bavaria with the state's parliament, the Landtag. In the same year, some French guy called, Napoleon Bonaparte decided to come and, as I said earlier, blow the Holy Roman Empire out of existence. In 1806, he dissolved the Holy Roman Empire and instead created the Confederation of the Rhine, as well along with many other puppet states. But by 1815, Napoleon had lost Waterloo, and Napoleon was therefore exiled, and Europe was at peace after
Have some coffee, yeah?
years of the
I think
Napoleonic
we'll just go
Wars.
for lunch now.
The German Confederation replaced the Holy Roman Empire after the Napoleonic Wars, but like the Holy Roman Empire before the Napoleonic Wars, it was weak and was not able to alter German nationalism during the 1848 revolutions, and eventually it broke up in 1866 due to the Prusso-Austrian War, and the Northern German Confederation was created as a result, which excluded Bavaria, Habsburg Austria, Baden-Württemberg, and other southern German states. Eventually, though, a few years later, in 1871, during the Franco-Prussian War, Prussia was able to unite the majority of German states, all excluding Habsburg Austria, to, beat up the French. Because if Napoleon could do it a few decades ago, why can't they do it now? I mean, the opposite way, of course. The Franco-Prussian War was a huge victory for not only Prussia, but German nationalism as a whole. A few decades ago, Napoleon's army, Grande Armée, had marched into Berlin, and now the unified German army had marched into Paris. The German Reich was proclaimed in 1871 and the empire would last all the way until 1918 when the First World War ended and the German Reich fell. During the mid and late 1800s, Germany industrialized rapidly, and just before the First World War, Germany had overtaken Britain itself in many metrics of industrialization, whether it be railways, steel production, and coal. The first railways came to Munich in 1839. Trams and electricity were introduced in 1876 and 1882 respectively, and many famous scientists and engineers were also in Munich. Names such as Rudolf Diesel, Alois Alzheimer, and Albert Einstein were all in Munich. Germany's first exhibition of electricity was hosted in Munich, and the city's population grew from 100,000 in 1846 all the way to 500,000 in 1901. Honestly, I think that Theatinekirche and St. Michaels Kirche architecture on the interior look better than Freunkirche. Freunkirche, Munich's most famous monument, looks dominating on the exterior but on the interior is very humble. Munich, like Salzburg and also the capital of Austria, Vienna, have a lot of this Baroque, neoclassical and Rococo style of architecture. There are plenty of famous buildings around the world with new styles of architecture that popped up during the 16 and 1700s, and it made styles of architecture like Gothic look old and almost inferior. And you can see a lot of that in European architecture starting in around the 1600s. You can see it with palaces, churches like over here. One famous example is the Palace of Versailles, which inspired countless palaces around the entire continent, from Portugal to Russia.
This is Munich. Right now we're going to see the Munchen Residence.
Munchen Residence reminds me of the Hofbräuhaus Palace in Vienna.
Was
Both
this the
are
palace
under similar circumstances.
of the monarchs?
Palace complexes for the royal families of both kingdoms that are right in the center of their capital cities. Here in Munich we have Munchen Residence, and in Wien, also known as Vienna, we have the Hofbräuhaus Palace. Now, in my opinion, purely, Hofbräuhaus Palace looks better. Well, it's not even a completely fair comparison because Vienna was the capital of the Habsburg Empire and later Austria-Hungary, while Munich is the capital of one of the largest, well, the largest minor German state, once again not Russia or Habsburg Austria.
Nice.
These guys want a budget.
Beware, the following content is not available for children under 5.
They scammed us. This is all drawn on. These are not actually counted. None.
I still question myself why I started speaking French in the
Wallpaper.
middle of Munchen
That
Residence.
wallpaper, it still looks very good if it was really good. It's not.
Hey, it's creative.
Yeah, it is creative, but this is meant for low budgeters. Not kings. This is not meant for kings.
After the German Reich fell in 1918, the country was cast into chaos. The Wittelsbach family fled after centuries of ruling, and in 1919, the Bavarian Soviet Republic was proclaimed. But within a few months, they were brutally and violently crushed by elements of the former German army and the Freikorps. The National Socialist German Workers' Party, also known as the Nazi Party, was founded in Munich in 1920 and it was the headquarters of the Nazi Party until 1945 when the Third Reich fell. And in 1933, Adolf Hitler became the Chancellor of Germany, and a year later in 1934, he declared himself the Führer und Reichskanzler. Munich is central to a large part of Nazi history, and Adolf Hitler gave many speeches in the city. A few years after the founding of the Nazi Party, the number of members had swelled greatly, and in 1923, Adolf Hitler, the Nazi Party, with the help of Erich Ludendorff, a famous World War I general, tried to attempt a coup d'etat starting in a Munich beer hall to overthrow the government and set up a Nazi regime. However, this failed, and many members of the Nazi Party were killed or imprisoned, including Hitler himself. A decade later, however, Hitler became the Chancellor of Germany, and a year later, when the President of Germany, Paul von Hindenburg, died, Hitler declared himself the Führer of the Third Reich. 5 years later, Hitler invaded Poland and the Second World War began. 6 years later, the Second World War ended and the Nazi regime had fallen, and West and East Germany were created. The atrocities that the Nazi Party committed before and during the Second World War were unspeakable, and therefore the Nuremberg trials were established to bring Nazi war criminals to justice after the Second World War.
So what happened is Germany got divided into multiple states again. So later on, Prussia became more powerful and they created the German Confederation. That was there. So the German Confederation was there. The two biggest powers were Prussia, Austria, and the third largest power was Bavaria.
Okay, let me interject here for a second for my walking video. As you can see, we're walking all around the world, and as you can see in most of these videos, I'm keeping the audio on. You can hear Joshua talking on and on and on endlessly. You know, he's talking for some weird German Serbian thing.
About Deutschland.
And it's not solicited. No one really asked him, can you explain to me why we're going to this church? It just goes on. It just offloads. I'm joking. I love it. I love your conversation. Oh, wow.
Yes, it's like half Gothic, half Domish.
Oh, my goodness.
The architecture of the dome.
That is nice. We need to see this.
This way, come here, 3D to cross this car.
Wait, wasn't it a thing the Gothic architecture does not have domes?
I know.
Except for one we saw the other recent rare exception.
I know Gothic architecture doesn't usually have domes. This is like.
Look at that stained glass window if you can see from the inside.
Welcome to Munich. This is Marienplatz, the central square in all of Munich. And now we're going inside the Rathaus of Munich, their city hall.
Come on, buddy, you could have pitched that a bit more enthusiastic. After the Second World War, Munich and Bavaria came under the American zone of occupation before West Germany was founded. After the Second World War, Munich rebuilt it, and rebuilt it very conservatively compared to other German cities such as Frankfurt. Munich rebuilt the majority of all the historical buildings and kept the same street layout. In 1957, Munich's population passed 1 million people, and in 1958, Munich hosted the Chess Olympiad. Munich was also the site of the 1972 Summer Olympics, during which the Munich Massacre happened, where a terrorist organization known as Black September took hostage members of the Israeli Olympic team. Munich also hosted games from FIFA World Cup. Several games during the 1974 and 2006 World Cups were held in Munich. The former Pope Benedict XVI, also known as Joseph Ratzinger, was ordained a priest in the Archdiocese of Munich and Freising in 1951. He later served as the Archbishop of Munich from 1977 to 1982. Today, Munich is one of the largest cities in Germany, and Germany has the largest economy and population in the entire European Union. From the Bayern Munchen Football Club to Oktoberfest to, well, everything associated with beer, obviously. Munich is a thriving city and also has BMW, which, by the way, as I said earlier, means Bavaria Motorworks. Munich City Hall, Rathaus, is a brilliant building, and I really love Gothic architecture, and I think this is the best city hall I have ever seen anywhere in the world.
The card is not working. Give me a sec. What is it? It's like a restaurant? It's a beautiful place, man.
Welcome to Schloss Nymphenburg, meaning Nymphenburg Palace. This, like many palaces across the continent, is built in a Baroque style with a sprawling palace complex and sprawling gardens. Many palaces around the continent have been modeled after Versailles, as I've said earlier. This palace was very beautiful, very ornate on the interior. is famous for its beer halls or beer gardens, and this is the most famous in the entire city. This is Hofbräuhaus, and if you remember earlier in the video we saw a church called St. Michaels Kirche. That was founded by the Jesuits, and that same church founded this beer garden or beer hall, Hofbräuhaus. Interesting. Thank you for watching the video, and see you later with Levage Extraordinaire, where we bring the world to you.